Jai Yes, sir. Where are you from? Mariana. Haribo. Atlanta, Gideon. Very nice to come here. You welcome for the first time. So we'll have our Sunday lecture. I will begin by Goparaj. He is a direct disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Jayapataka Sai Maharaj, and he's been connected to this temple for many, many years, and he has done a lot of service to the temple and he still continues doing it. Even though he's a family man, but his whole family served the temple for many, many years, and is still continuing it. So we're really thankful for his seva, and he gives a beautiful class, so let us hear him. Then after the class, there will be a mini arati for the Sunday sponsor. We'll have more kirtan. And then after that, we'll have more announcement. And then there will be prasadam for everyone. So I request everyone, please leave after taking prasadam. And in case if you have to leave earlier, please see one of our devotees and arrange some prasadam for you. But we want you to all hear about Krishna, take the association of devotees, and chant and dance and take prasad with us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Established by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada many years ago, in the late 60s. We're going to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam along with a slide presentation. The subject matter is very deep, but why have we chosen Srimad Bhagavatam? There's about, I believe, 4 verses I have here, 4 slokas. I'm just going to read the Sanskrit and the English translation, and then we'll get into the discussion. Adimadhyavasaniteshu Vairagyayana samyudam Harililakata vrata Vrittanandita satsuram Sarva Vedanta saram yat Brahmanaikatva lakshanam Vastvad dvi yitam tam nishtam Kaivalyaika prayojanam. Translation. From the beginning to the end, Srimad Bhagavatam is full of narrations that encourage renunciation of material life, as well as nectarian accounts of Lord Hari's transcendental pastimes, which give ecstasy to the saintly devotees and demigods. This Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy, because its subject matter is the absolute truth, which, while non-different from the spirit soul, is the ultimate reality, one without a second. The goal of this literature is exclusive devotional service unto that supreme truth, meaning Krishna. So this 2 verses come from the last chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. There are 12 cantos. I'm pointing under here. 12 cantos, 12 big books that compile this Srimad Bhagavatam. This is not only the last of those cantos, but it's also the last chapter. And we're hearing some of the last of those verses. Because Shukadeva Goswami, who spoke this entire volume, is now actually offering praise and explanation to Maharaj Parikshit why this Bhagavatam is as it is. Sarva Vedanta Sharam Hi Sri Bhagavatam Ishyate Tad Rasamrita Triptasya Nanyatrasya Rati Kwachit. Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. One who has felt satisfaction from its nectarian billows will never be attracted to any other literature. It holds a very unique place, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavam Nam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsyam Ekam Amalam Yanam Paramam Kiyate Tatra Jnana Viragya Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmyam Avishkritam Tach Trinvan Supatan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchinnara. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. It is most dear to the Vaishnavas because it describes the pure and supreme knowledge of the Paramahamsas. This Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from all material work, together with the process of transcendental knowledge, renunciation, and devotion. Anyone who seriously tries to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, who properly hears and chants it with devotion, becomes completely liberated. Om Tat Sat. So you can see the importance of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's our ticket out of this miserable world. If anybody thinks this world is not miserable, we can have a one-on-one discussion and I'll answer those questions. But this is a miserable world we live in. We try to pretend that it's not. We try to be happy all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone tries to be happy. That's our nature. You should not try to be unhappy. Does anyone go to, let's say, Publix or Kroger's or anywhere and ask, give me 2 pounds of misery. Give me a broken leg. Let me have some type of disease. No, we don't. We look for happiness. It's the natural tendency of the living entity. So there's nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong, what is the problem? What we're looking for is not in this world. That's the problem. We're trying to find happiness in the material world when it's only a temporary flicker, like a candle. So we're going to go into this presentation, hopefully. Still got it here. On understanding some of the aspects of this Bhagavatam. So, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Now is the time to inquire. So that's a rough introduction of what we're going to be discussing. We have to inquire. And this Bhagavatam, as we were just chanting some of these verses, is the answer to all our questions. Unfortunately, most people in this age don't have access to this Bhagavatam. But through the mercy, the great mercy of our founder Acharya sitting on the back seat, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami from the Prabhupada, he made it available in English in the Western world. And eventually practically in every planet now, every language on this planet. There's still some might not have it yet. But this knowledge is very important. So his guru asked him to bring his teachings to the West, this Bhagavatam. The Srila Prabhupada gives us this main theme. Tasmat gurun prapadyeta jignasu shreya uttamam shabdhe parecha nishnatam natam brahmanya pasam Shrayam. It's from the 11th canto. But basically what Srila Prabhupada is telling us is that we should inquire. He's explaining this verse, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Brahma Jignasa means to inquire. So children naturally inquire about everything. And then teenagers, young adults, they still are curious about practically everything. And then when we become adults, we become more and more dull. We're just interested in what's going to be for lunch, what's going to be for dinner, is the car running okay, and we're pretty much satisfied. But we should never stop inquiring, because the nature of our life on this planet is to inquire. Brahma Jignasa. And the last paragraph here. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of a bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual masters. So it's a general instruction for every one of us on the planet. But what is a guru? We don't have gurus here in Georgia, do we? Any gurus floating around in Georgia? Any gurus anywhere? Where do you find a guru? Well, if you're fortunate enough to have a copy of Bhagavad Gita, you can find out about a guru. Who to inquire from. Bhagavad Gita is practically the first single volume, Srila Prabhupada translated to English. And it tells us the same instruction, that you have to inquire from a guru. Why? Because the guru knows the truth. And his aim is simply to deliver you. If the guru is asking you this week's fee, it's only $40 this week. It's not a guru, unfortunately. Or if the guru says, well, I know you have a problem smoking, so it's okay, you can smoke. Reject this guru. If a guru says, yeah, it's okay to take a little sherry with your meal, have a sip of scotch with your dinner, you're not getting that and talk, yeah, go ahead. You don't have a guru. A guru speaks exactly what's in the Shastra, the scripture. And he gives it the exact commentary that all the predecessors before him gave. He doesn't make up anything new. So he's not going to say, yeah, it's okay, you can go to McDonald's once a week. Not going to hurt anything. No. If you want to get out of this material existence, you have to follow the bona fide instructions. Inquiry. Another major point people don't understand, where we're living. Very few people understand what this planet Earth is, what it entails. And so there's lots of speculation. Everything from the so-called flat Earth, the round Earth, so many things. But where you get to the absolute truth. Keep in mind, I'm only giving a synopsis of these topics. Each one of them would require many classes to thoroughly discuss. But this is a main problem. One of the greatest problems faced by the Big Bang theorists is that although they are attempting to explain the originating of the universe, the origin they propose is mathematically indescribable. So it's one of the main theories that in any upscale so-called country nowadays, they teach this about the Big Bang. That's the origin of things. And they have elaborate schemes. They can show you mathematical formulas. They can show you other things, how this, at one point, this gas exploded. But then there's a problem. In the standard Big Bang theory, the universe begins with a point of zero volume and infinite density and temperature, a mathematical impossibility known as a singularity. So they will admit this is impossible. We're starting at point zero, ground zero, whatever you want to call it. There is nothing. But somehow or another, they want to sneak in, there's density and temperature and volume, some kind of space, where to put it. How is that possible? It's not possible. Some cosmologists propose that our complex universe emerged from literally nothing. Yet the universe predicted by the Big Bang theory is little more than a simple bubble of gas, and the nothing that produces it is the quantum mechanical vacuum. So you've heard of quantum mechanics. Most people have heard of it, quantum mechanics. It can become a very dense subject matter because it goes off into many detailed formulations and theories. But we have to keep in mind one simple point. The observer, the observation, and the object. Those 3 points are always going to be there. So even in quantum mechanics, who's the observer? Who came up with this? Where did that come from? Again, I'm throwing out questions rather than a lot of answers right now. The cosmic mystery of immense proportions. Galaxies may be surrounded by a halo of invisible matter containing up to 9 times their visible mass, so-called planets. For over a century, scientists have held that planets form from the gravitational contraction of clouds of gas, but they have not been able to show this mathematically or verify it observationally. So a theory means guesswork. That's what a theory is. So planets form from gases, and somewhere, we don't know where it came from, there's gravity. To this very day, very few, if anybody, can even explain what is gravity. But they're saying this gravity, this gas formed planets. There's no illustration of that in the modern world, of gases forming anything other than gases. Science has not yet demonstrated mathematically or otherwise what and where exactly is the consciousness in the brain or the body. Why? Because the very thing they're trying to explain cannot be observed by an outside observer. You can't see my brain, even the physical brain. What to speak, you can't see my thinking about it, anything. If you tell me hello and I respond hi, a lot just happened. How do you explain that? If we look in terms of gases and atoms, nothing just happened. We're going to get a little bit more into this. Example, a person sees a red car and remarks, I don't like red. Where is the light located? How is feeling connected to observation? Can anyone explain that? I see a bottle of water. I don't like that brand. Where's the connection? Who is saying I don't like? I see a bottle of water, but then something else is happening. There's another expression. I don't like it. What is like? Where does light come from? Can you separate and have light in the brain and observe it? When a camera takes a photo of a red car, it does not also give an opinion. Very simple. So if I hold this up, here's a bottle of water. No opinion, nothing. Because a camera is just going to take the picture of this bottle of water. Only a human being is going to be able to say, I don't like that brand, or I don't want water, right? Whatever. How is this taking place? This is known as conscious awareness. This is from a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave in the very early years of the Hare Krishna movement. Body minus consciousness is dead body. Everyone knows it. A child can understand it. That I am speaking, you are hearing, because your consciousness is present. My consciousness is present. As soon as my consciousness is deducted from this body, then the same mouth will not speak. The same hand will not move. The same ear will not hear. The whole thing will be stopped. So it is very common sense affair that consciousness, that is the main thing in the body. So any intelligent man with common sense can understand this. Now, what is this consciousness? This consciousness is the symptom of the soul. It's a lot to deliberate on there. Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. The soul is what operates this body. You can call the soul consciousness if you want. It's a matter of terminology. But what operates this body is consciousness. Is the soul, the living being. As soon as the living being leaves the body, it's called a dead body. Nobody even likes to talk about dead bodies. They're horrible. And they become stinky. They break down. So we don't talk about dead bodies. But you're saying, Prabhu, you're talking about dead bodies. Yes, I'm just explaining. It's not so bad after all. You know what it is. So, consciousness that we all have is a symptom that we're a living, intelligent entity. That is consciousness. Srila Prabhupada named this movement the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Why do you think he did that? One lady said, why don't you just call it the International Society, Swamiji? They used to call Prabhupada Swamiji. Why don't you just call it the International Society? That way it's everyone. Yeah, but Srila Prabhupada said no, because his mission was to propagate a consciousness of Krishna. Who is Krishna? Well, you're all fortunate because I can introduce. If you haven't met Krishna already, there he is playing his flute. And all this time you thought it was just a statue? Sorry, not just a statue. Any devotee will tell you the Archa-vigraha form, this form of Krishna, is not a statue. It's no longer connected, thinking it like it's a piece made out of marble, a piece carved out of brass. This is not the deity. So this is why Srila Prabhupada named this International Society of Krishna Consciousness. We have to develop our consciousness. But let's take a look here at our theme, the origin of the species. This is a direct comment from Mr. Darwin. To suppose that the eye, with all its imitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for admitting different amounts of light, and for the correction of spherical chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree. It's his own statement for the latter part of his career. You can look it up, The Origin of Species. Why is he saying that? Because he knew evolution as he had presented it was incorrect. But just one point. Remember, we're just looking at this bottle of water. So many things take place that it's hard to even describe. The eye takes in light. According to science, the image is initially upside down. So when it goes through the brain, it corrects it and is presented right side up. And you see a bottle of water. But there's a lot of things physiologically taking place during that one action. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, there's a big painting in the back of Srila Prabhupada's guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In his teachings, a book called The Teachings of Chaitanya, he gave a quick analogy of how to really understand so-called evolution in the Vaishnava sense. He says, it is in the Vaishnava philosophy alone that we see the fully scientific and real conception of each eternal and transcendental divine form of worship by the freed souls according to their evolutionary growth and serving mood. And he actually gives a little chart so we can take it through material so-called development. But these different incarnations, some of you can't see, but the picture hanging in the middle shows the 10 prominent incarnations. We have Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, Vamana, Parashuram, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, and Kalki. Those 10 incarnations. And the Vaishnavas simply see evolution in a whole different light. Again, we're touching on the tip of this knowledge, not going into depth. Those, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, those who have acquired a true knowledge about incarnations with a thorough culture thereof, will be able, with the grace of philosophers trained in the school of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to appreciate the ontology of Sri Krishna, specifically the intense sweetness of his sports at Braja, that is Vrindavan and the neighborhood. So the Vaishnavas are particularly interested in this incarnation of Krishna, who is actually the source of all incarnations. But we have to move rapidly here to cover this basic information. Mathematically, we're not going to get lost in mathematics. I am by profession not a mathematician, but here's a couple points about math that might help one understand more closely what we're trying to get at. If we have any mathematicians in the audience, I know you know who this Bhaskar is, but we're just going to hear a little bit. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati translated the Surya Siddhanta and a commentary on the same work called the Siddhanta Shiromani, written by the 11th century Indian astronomer and mathematician Bhaskar Acharya, focusing on the cosmology part. In a nutshell, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was a master astrologist. So much so that he brought an ancient book in Sanskrit that was even lost in India for the most part. He translated it and brought new meaning out of it. And for that work, he was recognized all over as a teacher and an acharya in this subject matter. And he became so sought after that he gave up making astrological predictions. He gave up using astrology itself in his preaching work. The Surya Siddhanta computes the means and the true location of the planets, latitude and longitude, conjunction of planet with stars and planets, and discussion of the kinds of time. So it's a very in-depth analysis. Bhaskar made a proof of one theorem that they had discovered this years ago, the so-called Greek era. But Bhaskar's proof is that since the square has the same area, no matter how you find it, A equals C squared equals A squared plus B squared, concluding his proof. So even mathematically, we can get into how to assert that Srimad Bhagavatam is the absolute essence of all teachings. Why don't people readily pick this up? Why isn't it understood? Why are there so many, in this day and age, so many atheists that totally reject the idea of God? Listen closely to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. The materialistic demeanor cannot possibly stretch to the transcendental autocrat who is ever inviting the fallen conditioned souls to associate with him through devotion or eternal serving mood. For the most part, we don't have the mind and intellect to just immediately understand transcendental matters. As far as an atheistic person, he's already completely rejected anything with the idea of God. So we can actually rule out an atheist. There's no need to talk with them because they're not interested in the subject matter. Anyway, the phenomenal attractions are often found to tempt sentient beings to enjoy the variegated position which is opposed to undifferenced monism. So everything in this world is set up under the operation of Maya. Maya means that which is not. Maya's duty is to keep us in illusion. So the phenomenal attractions are all the things in this world that keep us interested in our own personal program. Follow your dream. Become the best that you can be. There are many aphorisms out there. They keep us away because I want to be a great singer, a rock and roll star. So that's my dream. So I'm going to pursue that. What you would get entangled in, we don't even want to discuss. People are so much apt to indulge in transitory speculations, even when they are to educate themselves on a situation beyond their empiric area of experiencing jurisdiction. I don't know what God is, but I can tell you a lot about it. How can you? If you don't know who God is, how can you describe Him? How can you explain God? So you have to know something about God. But the tendency in this world is to speculate about different things. And through that speculation, when you get 2 or 3 people to agree with you, then it's confirmed. Yep, that's what it is. I heard it. I even saw a thing on YouTube about this. Definitely, you're right. The esoteric aspect often knocks them to trace out immanence in their outward inspection of transitory and transformable things. The esoteric aspect, it's beyond us, often knocks them. This introduction to me is like a poem. It's very beautifully written. His command of English. Often knocks them to trace out immanence. Immanence is a way of saying God, the supreme, the ultimate authority. So the esoteric aspect often knocks them to trace out immanence in their outward inspection of transitory and transformable things. You know, I saw it with my own eyes. I heard it with my own ears. Our 5 senses are how we gather information. So if we think using the 5 senses is going to allow us to examine God and who He is, we're lost. This impulse moves them to fix the position of the immanent God to an indeterminate, impersonal entity, no clue of which could be discerned by moving earth and heaven through their organic senses. In other words, it ain't going to happen, people. You can think all you want about God. This is what my conclusion is. This is what I've seen. But you have to have concrete, absolute proof. So I know your next question is, how are you going to prove that, prabhu? Well, that's going to be a separate class. Because to get into the nature of proof here, I would definitely have to go to the books of Jiva Goswami, who's emphatically proved it. I will simply make a summary to say that to prove it, what we have to do is use transcendental sound vibration as opposed to material sound vibration. To prove what we're talking about, we use transcendental sound vibration as opposed to material sound vibration. So your question is going to be, but you're material, you're vibrating, you're talking. What is that? There's a difference between material sound vibration and spiritual sound vibration. Spiritual sound vibration comes from the verses in the Bhagavatam, comes from the verses in Bhagavad Gita, comes from the Guru. Material sound vibration comes from books, TVs, you name it. So much media. From us. They just say, hello, Prabhu, I like your shirt. Nice shirt. Doing okay. That's material sound vibration. It's a compliment. It is a nice shirt. I like it. But that vibration will not get us out of this material world. That's material sound vibration. So when you wake up and say, hello, good morning, it's nice. It's especially if your wife is going to hit you over the head with a frying pan if you don't say it. But no, it's nice, but it's not going to get you out of this material world. So the devotee must become interested. Atato Brahma Jignasa. Now is the time to inquire. If you don't inquire now, when are you going to do it? Well, I got time. Maybe when I become 50, 60, I can sit down and think about spiritual things. No. Why? Because at any age, one day, 100 days, 100 years, you can leave that body. And what happens when you leave this body? Who knows? Everybody knows. What happens when you leave this body? Well, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this thing where Prabhupada explained that the difference between a living body and a dead body, the consciousness leaves. When the consciousness leaves the body, it's called, quote, dead. So whether you're a 1-year-old nice little baby, rockabye baby, or whether you're a 110-year-old old man, rockabye old man, you're going to leave that body. So you got to know what this transition is coming for all of us and what to do about it. Atato Brahma Jignasa. Inquire. Human beings, the birds out there are not going to inquire what's going to happen when I leave my bird body. The squirrels don't ask what's going to happen tomorrow when I leave this squirrel body. The dogs, the cats, the cows, lions, tigers, elephants, bears, oh my. This is not the Wizard of Oz, by the way. I can see some of my audience don't pick up on this comment. Sorry. You know the Wizard of Oz. Anyway, the body is not the self. That's what Prabhupada is explaining. And he's also explaining what to do, how to get prepared to leave it. Very important. So, where we're going now is I'm going to talk about some of the material aspects of the universe. It's a section of the Bhagavatam. Not often we get into it so deeply, but I'm going to give an outline of some of these points. In the Padma Purana, states that 8,400,000 species of life that are divided into 6 groups: aquatics, trees, insects, birds, animals, and humans. So there are 900,000 types of aquatics. That's in the ocean. 900,000 types of fish, in other words. 1.1 million types of insects. See little bugs running around here? Catch one. Introduce yourself. We skipped, there's 2 billion types of trees. The most prominent living entities on this planet, by the way, are trees. They outnumber us. But there are 2 million types of trees. So we might come up with like 4,000 or 5,000 if we're lucky on this planet. There are 2 million types of trees. 1 million types of birds. We haven't seen all the bird species. We know a little about this one or that one, and they're so cute, and we're way off the mark. 1.1 million types of insects, 1 million types of birds, 3 million types of animal bodies. 3 million types of animal bodies. So we know lions, tigers, bears, etc. But there are 3 million types of animal bodies and 400,000 types of human bodies. And another part of the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada quotes this, but he also says there's only one type of human being on the planet Earth right now. There are 400,000 types of human bodies. That's a lot. But there's only one type living on this planet right now. So you can go to Tibet, you can go to Nigeria, you can go to Bangalore, You can go to New York City. All those human beings are the same species. This out to emphasize that you don't want to keep changing bodies. Look at these photographs. This evolution is like a circle 8. You keep going through it. Different bodies. There's so many different bodies. You're born as a little baby, if we observe here. Born as a little baby, and you start to grow up, and you develop into a teenage body, male body, and then what happens? You start to dwindle, and it goes back down, and once you enter the earth, same thing again, another body. We got to stop this, people. There are 8 types of demigods. Most people before Srila Prabhupada came didn't understand what is a demigod, who they are, or where they might be. The demigods, the forefathers, the asuras, or the demons, the Gandharvas and Apsaras, or angels, the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the Siddhas, the Charanas, the Vidyaharas, the Bhutas, Pretas, Pisachas, the superhuman beings, celestial singers, so on. All are created by Brahman, the creator of the universe. So these 8 types of high varieties, they have much more higher capabilities than humans living on the earth planet right now. But there are 8 types, 8 varieties of those beings. Shrudeva Goswami said, O king, once upon a time the king of heaven, Indra, being extremely proud because of his great opulence of the 3 worlds, transgressed the law of Vedic etiquette. Seated on his throne, he was surrounded by the Maruts, the Vasus, the Rudras, the Adityas, the Ribus, the Vishwadevas, Sadyas, Ashwini Kumaras, Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas, and by great saintly persons. Also surrounding him were the Vidyaharas, Apsaras, Kinnaras, Patagas, bird species, and the Uragas, a snake species. All of them were offering Indra their respects and services, and the Apsaras and Gandharvas were dancing and singing with very sweet musical instruments. So in the higher planets, these are practically what we would call like daily occurrences. We have no knowledge of this in the Kali Yuga. The demigods, these higher beings, don't even associate anymore with the earth beings in an outward fashion. There might be some sneaking around here and there, who knows, but it's unauthorized. But anyway, these verses describe what King Indra's court looked like at one particular time. So these beings exist. What they are, how they are, what they do, also comes up in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 11th canto, we find this verse. From the forefathers, headed by Bhrigu Muni and other sons of Brahma, appeared many children and descendants, who assumed different forms as demigods, demons, human beings, Guyakas, Siddhas, Gandharvas, Vidyaharas, Chanaras, King Devas, Kinnaras, Nagas, Kimbarushas, and so on. All of the many universal species, along with their respective leaders, appeared with different natures and desires generated from the 3 modes of material nature. Therefore, because of the different characteristics of the living entities within the universe, there are a great many Vedic rituals, mantras, and rewards. So this kind of captures a nutshell when you're talking about the Vedas in general. We are focused on Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of all the Vedas. But here it's mentioned about these beings, how they came about, what some of their basic characteristics are. In this purport, which we're going to read just a little bit, Srila Prabhupada was saying, Bhrigu, Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulastra, Balaha, and Kratu are the 7 great Brahmana sages and the forefathers of this universe. The Kindevas are a race of human beings who are like the demigods, completely free from fatigue, sweat, and body odor. That's a characteristic of the higher planets. Unfortunately, on this planet, we're not free from this. It's a big problem. Of course, some people don't think so. The Kinnaras are so called because they are Kincha Nara, or a little like human beings. The Kinnaras have either a human head or a human body, but not both, combined with a non-human form. Interesting species. The Kimburushas are so called because they resemble human beings and thus prompt the question, Kim, what? Barusha. Are these human beings? Kim Barusha. Kim means what? Are they actually human? Actually, they are a race of monkeys who are almost like human beings. Again, not referring to the species of monkeys currently on this planet. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada's other major work, it's 18 volumes. In particular, I just pulled this verse because it's reflected even in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Manusyara Vishye Deva Gandharva Kinnara Sapta Pratalera Yatta Daitya Vishadara. The inhabitants of the 7 higher planetary systems, including the demigods, the Gandharvas, and the Kinnaras, and the inhabitants of the 7 lower planetary systems, Patala Loka, including the demons and the serpentine living entities, all visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the dress of human beings. So, one characteristic of these other higher beings, they have ability to transform their appearance. Modern term, we call it shape-shifting. But they can do this. It's one of their characteristics. So if they want to blend in and see what's going on, they can do this. Just as the mind is the cause of bondage, it can also be the cause of liberation. The mind. The mind is described here as para avara. Para means transcendental, and avara means material. When the mind is engaged in the Lord's service, Savai Mana Krishna Paravindayo, it is called para, transcendental. When the mind is engaged in material sense gratification, it is called avara, or material. So the mind is one great tool that we can use. We all have a mind, and that mind is constantly flickering, changing. I want oranges and apples and bananas for breakfast. No, I think I want cream of wheat would be better. Change my mind. Mind is flickering. I think I'm going to get a nice new Chevy. No, the BMW looks better, so I'll go for the BMW. The mind is going to change. This is the nature of the mind. The mind will pick somebody, oh, he was my friend yesterday, but today I don't like him. He's my enemy. That's the nature of the mind. So when we listen to the material mind, we're going to get material results. When we use the mind in a spiritual sense, we get spiritual results. From the 5th canto, teachings by Lord Rishabhadeva, of the 2 energies manifest, that's spirit and dull matter, beings possessing living force, that's vegetables, grass, trees, plants, so on, are superior to dull matter, stones and earth. Superior to non-moving plants and vegetables are worms and snakes, which can move. Superior to worms and snakes are animals that have developed intelligence. Superior to animals are human beings. And superior to human beings are ghosts, because they have no material bodies. Superior to ghosts are the Gandharvas, and superior to them are the Siddhas. Superior to the Siddhas are the Kinnaras, and superior to them are the Asuras. Superior to the Asuras are the demigods, and the demigod Indra, the king of heaven, is supreme. Superior to Indra is the direct sons of Lord Brahma, sons like King Daksha, and supreme among Brahma's sons is Lord Shiva, since Lord Shiva is the son of Lord Brahma. Brahma is considered superior, but Brahma is also subordinate to me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because I am inclined to the Brahmanas are best of all. So again, keep in mind, we're studying this as a synopsis. Obviously, we could have 2 or 3 classes on just this topic, this one verse, 2 verses here, because so many things are mentioned. But I tied it in because we can see that the development of these different bodies are out there. It doesn't matter what we currently know or do not know. Life is not based on that. So if we currently know that there is a God, or we currently do not know if there is God, life is not based on that. We have to inquire. Tato Brahma Jignasa. Now is the time to inquire about who is God, Brahman. I have to move right along here. I don't think we have time. I'm going to have to cut this short. This is a layout of the universe. You can kind of see that. But the scale is immense. Has been condensed so we can wrap our human brain around it. So if you look right here, where's my cursor? Right here, this little area here is where Bharatvarsha is. Bharatvarsha is known as the Earth planet. That's where we is. Out here is much, much more. But I'm going to have to just zip through this. Text number 7. My dear king, beneath this Earth planet are 7 other planets known as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tala, Tala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Bhattatala. I have already explained the situation of the planetary systems of Earth. The width and length of the 7 lower planetary systems are calculated to be exactly the same as those of the Earth. So the Earth is 80,000 yojanas high, roughly equivalent to miles. Anyway, we don't have time to get into the technical breakdown of these points today. Jambudweep is this where Mount Meru resides, this big yellow thing in the center. The planetary systems revolve not like we've been taught in science, where there's like 8 or 9 planets circulating the sun. It's beyond that. The planetary systems are situated higher to lower. And beyond the highest planetary systems is when you can get out of this material world and re-enter the spiritual world. But the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and everything in between, we're still in the material universe. Summarizing, Srila Prabhupada made an answer to Rupanuga Prabhu, who used to be actually one of the GBCs of Atlanta, one of the older disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada says, regarding your question of the planetary systems, the planets are arranged in each universe in layers like the petals of a lotus. But in each layer there is mixed both heavenly, hellish, and middle planets. On the outside layer there are these 3 kinds of planets. On the middle layer there are 3 kinds of planets. And on the innermost layer there are found these 3 kinds of planets. Above these layers in the center is the Brahmaloka, where Lord Brahman, the Creator, is residing. So the Earth planet, the Moon planet, are both in the same layer, but the Earth is a middle planet and the Moon is a heavenly planet. Which answers the question many people had during that time and to this very day. How is it we're going to the Moon? We can't. You can't take a mechanical so-called vehicle, spaceship, and enter a heavenly planet. The Moon is a heavenly body. It's way beyond the Earth. And you can't reach it mechanically. Of course, it's been refuted. If you do your research even online, you'll see in actuality it never happened. But again, that's just fuel for your thought. You can see, we can discuss this for the rest of the evening. But I have to stop because of the time factor. But I will entertain any questions you have at this point. Any questions at all? Anything not clear that I said? Or anything that you have a doubt about? Please feel free to ask questions. Yes, prabhu.
What canto and what chapter is that information about the structure of the universe?
I made several references. Quite a bit of it is in the 5th canto. Some of the earlier verses was in the 11th canto. But you can find quite a bit in the 5th canto because it talks about the structure. Those things mention Mount Meru, how it relates to Bharadvarsa, the Earth planet, and the different layers where demigods might reside. It's in the 5th canto.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, please.
Understanding correctly that the idea of the evolution of the soul would be from one species to the next species and then finally human, various levels of human through incarnations. And if that is the understanding, is it similar to the way that, is there another evolution through the various levels of planetary systems as well in that same concept?
Depending on the type of body you have been awarded, you will go to any of those different planetary systems. You can remain on the Earth planet many, many births simply out of your passion to create, do something, be something. So the Kali Yuga is 432,000 years, if I'm not mistaken. The Kali Yuga, the age we're living in, is called Kali Yuga. It lasts for 432,000 years, as we know years. So 5,000 of those years have passed, and we have roughly 428,000 to go in this age before it's finished. There are 4 ages. They go from Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, those 4 ages. They're each successively shorter than the prior one. So the Kali Yuga is the shortest of those ages. But again, as far as transmigration, where the soul, you can go anywhere. If, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a nice painting which shows sense gratification. A person attached to eating all kinds of nonsense, eating flesh, taking alcohol, you'll get the body of a pig, because a pig can eat all those things quite easily. But a human being that spends his life like that, that's where he transmigrates. Whereas a pig will go to the next highest species. He doesn't have to do good or bad deeds. So when we're transmigrating, it's always based on what you've done as a human being. So you can spend many lifetimes searching, asking. But again, Srila Prabhupada condensed everything with that one phrase, the Tato Brahma Jignasa. Now, if you inquire, no more birth and death, no more going up and down. Because you can literally be a demigod and then fall back down to the position of a pig. There's one nice illustration in the Bhagavatam. So we have to be careful. Does that answer?
Yeah, just to follow up the thousands of years, the Kali, is that based on Brahma's 100 years?
It's based on a statement in the Bhagavatam about the length of time in each yuga, each age has a specific number of years to go. And then it's wrapped up, there's a it's like an end of the creation. It's wrapped up, and then the next one begins. And then that one is wrapped up, and then there's a little pause, and the next one begins. But all those years are specific. I have in my notes somewhere the actual length of each one, but I didn't put that at my fingertips today. But we can find that. Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to know, based on your memory, I remember reading like the difference between, I think you said like Brahma's years is 100 years compared to our years, or 1,000 years or something like that. What's the comparison between Brahma's days and our days?
The basic comparison mentioned in the Shastra is that 1 year on Brahmaloka, the highest planetary system, is equal to 100 years on Earth, 100 human years. So Lord Brahma himself, who is the engineer and the leading figure, the demigod on Brahmaloka, he lives 311 trillion Earth years. 311 trillion years. So it's a long time relative to us. The living beings that we are, human beings, we can go up and down. So there's graded times. You might, if you're up to the Gandharva level, that's a long lifespan. Easy 10,000 years it's mentioned that they live on Gandharva Loka. But on the Earth planet, a man is lucky to live 100 years nowadays in the Kali Yuga. That's the basic way we would calculate it.
So when the yugas change, like when the yugas change, I know it's like it's 100,000, 1,000, 10,000, 1,000, and 100. So as the yugas are changing, does it also change time, I guess, like on the heavenly planets also?
It changes the relative nature of time. Time is relative. Time actually operates simply by Krishna's desire. So you've heard the saying, time can be your worst enemy. Because if we waste time, we can't get it back. So even 1 second that's lost can't be recovered. So, but the movement of time is controlled by Krishna. So the time that's happening up here in the heavenly planets, down here where we are, is a different level. It's relative to where we are. So if we're up there, one day, is one 24-hour day. But for us, it's like eons. Just like if we take the lifespan of an ant on the floor in our house, lucky if they can live 2 months out of the summer, and that's it. So you can't explain to the ant, what your lifespan is. It's just relative, but it's relative to time. Time for that ant much slower than what we're experiencing. Any other? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have a question. What is moksha actually means? Is it the liberation from life or the liberation from the living life actually? So, devotion, knowledge, meditation. What I have to do if I'm on the path of this moksha?
You want to know what is moksha?
Yes.
Just the general term is described as liberation. Liberation means free from. So you can become liberated. If your goal is a spiritual goal, of course, you don't want to take birth again. That's real liberation. But if in some of the yoga systems which Krishna discusses in Bhagavad Gita, he gives a synopsis of the Eightfold Path to Arjuna. The Eightfold Yoga System. They're difficult to perform, especially in Kali Yuga. Very difficult. Some people think they're doing it. They're not doing it. They're wasting time. But if you want to achieve liberation, your next question is liberation from what? You just don't want to be born anymore? Or do you want to be with the absolute truth? It's a distinction.
Yeah, do not want to born anymore.
So you just don't want to be born. So what you're aiming at is total extinction of the self. This is frowned upon by Vaishnavas. Why? Because we don't want to extinguish the self. The self can never be extinguished. What the liberated soul is looking for is just peace. Get away from the pain, the anxiety, the trouble. That's what just general moksha they're aimed at. To get away from all these problems. But then what? It's like if this room was completely white, there were no objects in this room, and you're just sitting there and you can see nothing but white, no other person, no other thing, basically not even yourself. You're just sitting there. My God, that's boring. You get tired of that in 2 or 3 days. That's liberation. So what happened, of course I'm going through this quickly, but after liberation, you can achieve liberation. That is when the self, you, the individual, goes back into Krishna's effulgence, the Brahma Jyotir. You can achieve that. You can go there. But again, the same thing will happen. You become a little bit bored, or you want to say, well, what am I going to do now? I'm liberated. That's going to be your question. What am I going to do now? So you can't do anything in the Brahma Jyotir. What happens? You have to take birth in a type of body to get your desires. If you're lucky, it'll be a human body. Otherwise, again, we're looking at 8,400,000 types of species. So just to achieve moksha, liberation from this pain and horrible thing, crime, cheating politicians. Politicians don't cheat, do they? To get away from all of this nonsense is not enough. You may think it's enough, but it's not enough. You have to ask yourself, what's beyond that? Because what every living entity wants is to be happy. And you will see that in the Brahma Jyotir, where you've relinquished your identity temporarily, there is no I. So how can you be happy? So you want to be happy, you want that experience, you have to take a body. You can sit in the Brahma Jyotir for however long, but then it becomes boring. You want to leave. You want to do something, because the I is eternal. Jivera Swarupa Hoya Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnera Tatasta Shakti Veda Veda. The living entity's eternal form is to be a servant of Krishna. Eternal form. So if you give that up and relinquish it, not wanting to serve Krishna or anybody or anything, you can do it temporarily. Then it's not the end. Anyone else?
Yes, regardless, service. How can you be happy if you don't have any regardless? You got Krishna. Krishna, all this, everything here is variety.
The opportunity to try it. We were all originally in the spiritual world serving Krishna in some capacity. But we gave that up. So here we are in a nice body. Look at my nice body. I got arthritis here, I got arthritis. I got glasses here. Oh, but yeah. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So let's thank Goparaj for his wonderful class. Spoke very scrutinizedly about Srimad Bhagavatam, different planets. So if you want to go any of those planets, you have to worship different demigods. to go there. But if you worship Krishna, you go to the highest planet, that is Goloka Vrindavan. That is the topmost planet. So we have our sponsor today, Namita Khanna family. Are you here? So I request Gopinath Prabhu to do the puja for him. He's not here. She's not here actually. And then we'll have a little kirtan now. And then there will be prasadam for everyone. There will be announcement a little bit and then there will be prasadam for everyone. Please stay with us. Thank you. Jai Goparaj ki jai, Gauritai ki jai, Radha Madan Maharaj ki jai, Jagannath Baldeshwar Maharaj ki jai. And she's seeking the blessing for her family so they can prosperous in Krishna consciousness. So can you pray for them? Can you pray for their family? They're feeling all the Vaishnavas. So please raise your hand and we chant one time loudly Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for this wonderful family. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you all. She's not here, she generally comes during the daytime, Luna Arati, but I'm sure your prayers will reach her. Then on October, Friday is Pashankush Ekadashi. So we'll have Kirtan from 6 to 8 p.m. So every Ekadashi, devotees, especially the youth devotees, they're coming here in the temple and we're giving them the opportunity to chant for 2 hours so you all can join. It's a very nice way to observe Ekadashi by chanting Hare Krishna in the association of devotees, and you get to see the beautiful deities. And if you're fasting, that is the best way to observe Ekadashi, by more chanting, more serving. So we have 6 to 8 p.m. every Ekadashi we have Kirtan. So please come. Then 4th October is Saturday, is Prabhupada Super Saturday. So every first Ekadashi of the month, we dedicate that Ekadashi to Srila Prabhupada, our founder of charity of Iskcon. And we encourage devotees to come and worship Srila Prabhupada. You can offer Pushpanjali, you can offer Arati to him. And then you get to hear directly from Prabhupada. I know you're all hearing Prabhupada lecture in the TV or in YouTube, but in the assembly of devotees you can hear Prabhupada, and this is more powerful. So you get that chance on Super Saturday, every first Saturday of the month, and it starts at 6 p.m. and it ends at 8 p.m. And then on October, Monday is Kartik month begins. November 5th Wednesday ends. So generally Kartik month is a beautiful month and it's very auspicious. There are many months, 12 months, but out of 12 months, Kartik month is very, very important and very auspicious. And this month is very dear to Srimati Radharani, Kartik month. So that's why everybody, most of the devotees of Lord Krishna, they go to Vrindavan to observe Kartik month. So this is also Vrindavan. Prabhupada said every temple is like Vrindavan. Any temple you go, Iskcon temple is like Vrindavan. So you come here and we offer 2 times lamp to the deities in the morning and in the evening, every day. So you can come and offer lamps. And if you want to have home program on that whole month, you can come and see me and we can note your names. And different days you can select what days you want to do, and we'll be able to come and do some kirtan at your home. That means we'll do Damodara Ashtakam, we'll chant Hare Krishna. It can be very simple. You can have only your family, or you can invite your friends. You can have prasadam, no prasadam is fine, but we want to encourage home program on the month of Damodar. We generally do like 30 programs or sometimes 20 programs in this month. So encourage devotees to please call us, or you can see me and you can give your names and the phone number and give the dates when you want to do, and we'll select those days for you. Thank you. And then also on the November 5th, November 5th, Urudal fasting. So this is Chaturmas also. Chaturmas, there are 4 months, very full Chaturmas. And in the Chaturmas, Prabhupada said at least we should avoid like yogurt, milk, spinach and Urudal. So this last month we observe fast from Urudal. That means no idli dosa, you cannot take idli dosa and all that. Yeah. And we fast from Urudal, and then in the end of Chaturmas, the 5 days called Kartik, not Kartik, what do you call it? Bhishma Panchak. Bhishma Panchak, so on those 5 days, if you cannot follow this Chaturmas, but if you follow this Bhishma Panchak for 5 days, you can get all the result of Chaturmas. So best way to do on those 5 days, you fast from all luxurious food. Don't eat any luxury food on those days. That means not too much oily food. You can eat boiled vegetables or fruits on those 5 days. And if you can fast completely, that's best. And on the last day, you come in the evening and you see the moon, and then you break your fast. So this is called Vishnu Panchak. The 5 days, those 5 days are very auspicious because those are the days Vishnu Dev, he was completely meditating. Before he left this world, he was meditating on the lotus feet of, and the lotus face of Krishna. And he meditated on the lotus face of Krishna, and he left this world. This is called Amar Mrityu. Amar Mrityu means even though you have to die, but that Mrityu, that death doesn't affect you. That's what it's called Mrityunjaya. Mrityunjaya means you have defeated the death. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, when Dhruva Maharaj left this world, what he did? He stepped under death, on a death personified, and he went where? To Vaikuntha. And then he left when he was flying in this special Viman, spiritual Viman, plane. He was looking in the back whether his mother were following him or not. So he asked the Vishnudutta, where is my mother? And he said, Vishnudutta said, your mother is coming in a different plane. This is how powerful is that when you die, if you can meditate at the lotus feet of Krishna or the lotus face of Krishna, you die, that means you become Mrityunjaya. You become liberated immediately. So this Vishwadev, when he passed away from this world, because he said to Lord Krishna that when Suryadev come in Uttarayana, then I'll leave this world. Because Vishwadev had Amar Vardhan. Amar Vardhan, he can choose his death. Whenever he wants to die, he will die. Unless he wants to die, no one can take him from this world. Not even Jamaraj. He was so powerful. And that benediction he got it from his own father, Santanu. Santanu was a very powerful king, so he gave him that benediction. When Ravana's son, Indrajit, when he asked benediction, Amar Mrityu, Amardan, from Lord Brahma, what was the reply of Lord Brahma? He said, even I have to die, so how can I give this benediction? I am not capable. But Santanu was so powerful, that he gave him that benediction. And Vishwadev, he left this world when he chose. And what was his choice? When the sun came to Uttarayana, then only he left this world by meditating on the beautiful face of Lord Krishna. So this is Bhishma Panchak. So you encourage people, devotees, to follow this Bhishma Panchak 5 days. And you come to the temple, we'll have some special prasadam for you all. And you can see the moon and you can break the fast. Thank you. And then last announcement, we have Back to Garden magazine for the monthly members and the donors of the temple. If you haven't got one, you can come and see me at the book table and you can get the new Back to Garden magazine. Thank you all. Hare Krishna. So now the final days of darshan and the prasadam is outside. Hare Krishna.